Good morning. Hope you guys had a good night. If not, again, shouldn't be my fault, might be. We are in Module 2. We are doing Lesson 5. There really are not much notes to copy down today. I want you to do more watch, and then we'll go from there. But right now my music's too loud, even though it's a great song. And when it snows, okay. So, a couple examples first to start, and then I'm going to start talking about the actual, I guess I should name the title, I'm sorry. There it is. Subtraction. Okay. You have already seen something like 3 plus a negative 7. And if we're talking about the number line, I know you already know the rules, but if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. We know that we always start at the 0. If it's positive, I'm heading to the right. And once we know that it's negative, we head to the left. So adding a negative, so here's 3, is saying 1, 2, 3. That's my additive inverse, that's why I get back to 0. 4, 5, 6, 7. But we know it's negative 7, it's going to the left. That puts me at negative 4. So I have this. That's one way we've done it. We've also said, hey, what are the signs directly in front of them? Positive, negative, they're different signs. So we find the absolute value. Because they're different signs, we subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. The larger absolute value as a negative. Okay, so we've got 2 ways to find the problem. Okay, or find the sum. Well, what happens when we subtract? And when we subtract, I'm going to start using a little bit different language for you. So, remember how I said, hey, we're starting here on the number line. Everything to our right is positive, everything to our left is negative. So if it's a positive 3, I physically turn my body, and that's the direction that I'm walking. Same idea with negative. I'm going to turn my body, and I'm going to walk that direction. Well, this time we're going to talk about negative being the opposite. Again, it's going to sound strange, but if I have a positive 3, I'm walking this way. Well, negative 3 is truly the opposite of that positive 3. So I could say the opposite of 3. So if I say the opposite of 3, I'm not going positive, I'm going negative. So let's say I have negative 3 minus 7. And let's see how we can do this just on our number line first with our vectors. Now I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 10, 1, 2. So as I start on my number line, I'm going to use the word opposite. So it says the opposite of 3. So I'm going to turn.
Up by the nurse's office, I think they can use that cart.
They're going to use that cart just in case you're concerned.
In the office, please. Thank you.
I didn't hear who they called for. I hope it wasn't. So starting here at 0. Opposite of 3 tells me to go the opposite direction of positive 3. So now I'm going 1, 2, 3. Well, here I am at negative 3 because that's the opposite of 3. But then the next sign says the opposite of 7. So if I've gone to negative 3 and I'm now standing there, the opposite of 7, because 7's this direction, the opposite will be telling me to go this way. So tail starts the arrowhead. Now I come down to negative 10. Okay, so wait a minute. I want to be able to use these rules. So there are 2 different ways that you can do this. One way, actually let me try this again. There's 3 ways. One way, you can absolutely use the number line. The reason why we don't want to use that number line over and over and over is what if this was negative 300 minus 700? Well, I don't necessarily want to make a number line going all the way out to negative 1,000. So the second way that we can do this, which is how you're supposed to be taught is rewriting everything as an addition problem. And there are going to be times where you have to rewrite it as an addition problem. But if I have -3 minus 7, I can rewrite this as -3, keeping the signs with each thing. So -3 plus a -7. In this, you know how to do. So we find the absolute value. We find the absolute value. That gives me 3. That gives me +7. Wonderful. Same signs. We add. Gives me 10. Negative, negative. My answer is negative. So far, it's matching up with us. That is our rules. But what if I don't want to rewrite it? Do I have to rewrite it? No. The rules will stay the same for subtraction as they will for addition. So the opposite of 3, the opposite of 7. -3 minus 7. I want you to say, are they the same signs? And if you remember from yesterday, I started trying to teach you, hey, circle them. Circle the sign directly in front. So now I'm going to circle my -3. I'm circling my -7. Don't worry about saying, well, it's -3, it's a -7. What about a minus? Isn't it -7? Yeah. Just circle the sign directly in front of the number. -3, -7. Those are the same signs, so follow the rules. Find the absolute value. 3, 7. The same signs. It would help if I actually wrote the negative, wouldn't it? Because of the same signs, I add. The distance from 0 is going to be 10. Well, which direction is that distance from 0? It's -10. So if you want to have this copied down, hey, go for it. I'm not necessarily concerned about the notes per se, because the rules are going to stay the same. We're going to knock through 2 more examples here real quick. So hopefully you have this. I'm only going to change this problem a little bit. Let's see if we can do this on our own. So let's say I've got 3 minus 7. Again, I'm going to use a little bit different verbiage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just on a nice little off topic. So the word verbiage, people are like, it's verbiage. Well, I know it's verbiage because it's how I've always talked and used. But people tried to give me a hard time last year, so we used Google Translator. Guess who was right? So, circle, circle. I'm going to say this is now 3 opposite 7. So I start at 0, I'm going to 3. Then the opposite of 7 is the opposite direction. There's my additive inverse, takes me back to 0. I know that's 3 of them. 4, 5, 6, 7. And now here I am at -4. So again, we've got a couple different ways to do this. I'll leave my 2 and 3 up there. So I've got 3 minus 7. I know it's a 3, I know it's a -7, so let's rewrite. 3 plus a -7. Now we can follow our addition rules. The rules stay the same. Absolute value, absolute value. Because these are distances from 0. Because they're different signs, we subtract larger absolute value, having the smaller absolute value come off. That leaves me with 4. The larger absolute value is -4. One more time, if you do not want to rewrite it, you don't have to. Simply get used to circling the number and the sign directly in front of it. We know it's subtraction. Okay, so we knew it's subtraction anyway, even though I'm saying this is a -7 now, that's fine. 3, 7. That leaves me, this is my larger number, 7 minus 3 is 4. The absolute value is larger, leaves me with -4. So those are all pretty basic. What I'd like you to do now is pause this video, go to exercise 1 through 3. It is on page S30. So go to S30. Do A, B, C, D under number 1. You do not need to use the number line if you do not want to. All I need is the answer. So do A, B, C, D. See what you come up with D. So pause it for a minute. Come back once you're done. I'm not going to show you those answers. Actually, that's not true. Pause it. Okay. Letter A is 6. Letter B is -5. Letter C is -10. Letter D is -7. So let's take a look at D. We've got something new happening here. It is saying -9 minus a -2. So let's use the correct mathematical language. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, -10, 1, 2, 3, 4, -14, 1, 2. So first, the opposite of 9. The opposite of 9 takes me here to -9. Then it says the opposite of -2. Okay, if you've been in my shine group, or Mrs. Armstrong's shine group, or Mrs. Davis's shine group, we've been talking about the opposite of an opposite. So the opposite of -2. Well, -2 has me going this way, but the opposite of -2 has me going this way. When we have an opposite of an opposite, it becomes positive. So the opposite of -2 is 1, 2, positive, which is how I get -7. Unlike the other times, this has to be rewritten.